Hello guys, my name is Guillaume and welcome to this new episode of Hit the Tone. Hello guys and welcome to this new episode of Hit the Tone on Thomann's Guitars and Basses. If you're just discovering this series, I'm basically taking intros, riffs, licks, bits of famous song and try to give you all the tools you need to hit the tone. This is a recommendation based format, so you decide what song I'm going to do next. Just put it down there in the comment section and I'll get to it as soon as possible. While you're down here, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. Thank you very much in advance. Now without further ado, let's jump into today's song, which is Scar Tissue by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Now this whole series started with Red Hot Chili Peppers and you guys have been asking for it since. I've had Scar Tissue, I've had Under the Bridge, I've had Danny California, and eventually I'll get through all of them, but today is Scar Tissue and the works of master John Frusciante. Although he has used several different guitars, I'm fairly certain that this song requires a Fender Stratocaster such as this one, and I'm going to be using the neck pickup on this, taking us from this sound to this sound. Now it's already a lot better. As in pretty much every other video where I've used the Fender Strat, it doesn't need to be that specific guitar. Any instrument with a neck pickup single coil option will work just fine as well. Telecasters, down electros, split humbuckers even, they won't get you there, but they will get you close, definitely. So, speaking of which, we're close, but we're not there yet, but we're gonna get there with our amp and pedal setup. Again, and as usual, everything that I'm using in this video will be linked in the description box down below, as well as a myriad of other options at different price points that will help you get there. If you've seen any episode of this series, I've been using the exact same amp every time. This is a Fender Hot Rod Tweed edition. The controls will be on the screen as usual. And as far as I'm aware, John Frusciante is a big Marshall user. Usually has at least one Marshall Major and one Marshall Silver Jubilee on at the same time. So this is a lot of wattage, a lot of power, and a lot of British sounding power. So I'm gonna correct that with the JHS double barrel and the left side of it, which is supposed to be a Marshall Blues Breaker type of overdrive. I'm using the low gain setting on it and every control at noon, and that is gonna take us there. Basically, you're looking at something that's on the edge of breakup as usual, but with a volume push that's high enough to make the actual tubes of your amp work a little harder. Now, if you have something like a Marshall Mini Jubilee, for example, or one of the DSL amps, you might not even need the pedal to go to that sound. But if you have anything else that's not British sounding per se, something like a Blues Breaker type of circuit will help you get there. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's go on to the very last part of that video, which is, as usual, the most important, and is how to play the song. Before we do anything, there's a very important detail that you need to make this sound right. And that detail is, he's actually out of tune. His B and high E strings are both out of tune compared to all the other. They're in tune together, but they're out of tune compared to all the other strings. Meaning that if you were to play something like that, for example, it would sound terribly wrong. But then if you go back to the main riff, the harmonies are right. That's Because the guitar in itself is a very imperfect instrument and the natural harmonies to it do not always sit where the frets are, hence all the true temperament frets, and also because our tuning system is very arbitrary and there's different ways of tuning your guitar, and if you want more of that, go check out any Adam Neely video. He's the best at explaining that kind of stuff. But it's a very important detail to know about if you want the whole thing to sound just right. Now, I have seen different ways of playing the song throughout the YouTubes and a lot of lesson and cover videos, so I try to stay away from that, and I've been rewatching and rewatching and rewatching the Live at Slane Castle, which is, if you haven't watched it, probably the ultimate Frusciante performance ever in the history of the universe, so go do that after that video. But yeah, essentially just wanted to see if it was going down from the note while staying on the A string, or if it was actually going down on the E string, and so going from that to that and that to that instead. And I'm now pretty confident that it is going onto the E string, and so our fretting hand is going to look something like this. So there aren't that many chords to it, there aren't that many positions, but if you're not comfortable playing with your thumb, it might get really complicated. Not so much for this part, but for all the small transitions and embellishments that he puts in between the main lick, essentially, where you're going to have some Hendrixian hammer-on pull-offs that are going on with the pinky and the ring finger, and that are fairly impossible to do if you do a regular bar chord, essentially. Get comfortable with playing with your thumb over the neck, and fretting the E string is obviously the first step to that. And once that's done, I'd say it's a fairly accessible and very much legendary intro riff lick. It's my favorite. And with that done, let's now have a look at our fretting hand. Now, because it does sound clean, it is tempting to go either finger picking or to try to single out the strings, which is, again, understandable, but not really what John does. If you look, again, Slane Castle or any other live really, is fully fretting every string on the guitar and just muting the ones that shouldn't be ringing. Now, that's a different exercise on its own, but it would be wrong of me to show you pick this one and then this one and then back to this one, because that's not what he's doing. Anyways, enough talk, and that's what the picking hand should look like. Again, it's a very Hendrixian, very loose kind of way, but that still sounds so pristine, and it's a very particular way of playing the instrument. So if you're not used to doing that, playing with your thumb over there, doing the hammer-on pull-off and muting the strings with your fretting hand while just basically picking everything, these are techniques that you need to get familiar with in order to play pretty much anything Frusciante, really. Get on there step by step, set short goals, and I'm sure you'll get there in no time. But with that said, that's it. I think you guys have all the tools you need to hit the tone on Scar Tissue by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Now, I hope this was okay. I hope I did an okay job. This is such an incredible tone. This is probably one of my favorite tones of all time, and one of my favorite playing, and definitely my favorite player. So I hope I did it some sort of justice. I hope you guys had fun. I hope you learned something. Please let me know in the comment section which song you'd like me to cover next, and I'll get to it as soon as possible. While you're down there, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. Thank you very, very much. I wish you all a fantastic week, and I will see you next Monday in a new episode of Hit the Tone.